part of our diversity, multiculturalism, and cultural intelligence chapter. Today, or in this one, we will look at cultural intelligence specifically. Welcome. I'm Professor Jessica. So, cultural intelligence is defined as the ability to relate to and work effectively with people from different cultural backgrounds. And so it goes beyond just simple awareness of knowing, you know, uh, cultures and really focusing on getting value from people's backgrounds and getting value from us being different. So harnessing those cultural backgrounds so we can create a better workplace, right? We will have greater problem solving, we will have greater creativity, greater innovation. So it's sort of like emotional intelligence, but you bump it up a step, right? It's one level up from emotional intelligence. Remember, in emotional intelligence, it's about your self awareness and then managing your own emotions and then recognizing emotions, needs, etc., in other people, and then managing those relationships. So being observant with others and managing that relation. And so cultural intelligence takes this emotional intelligence to the next level because now we're also looking at understanding and accepting cultural backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, social norms, showing up in situations that are culturally diverse and they might not be familiar to us, and so we have to deal with that. And so your book gives the example, for instance, here in the United States, where I'm at, we smile big. That's is seen as a positive thing. We use our entire mouth and we smile, and that is, that's a great thing. We think our culture dictates that that is great. But in Japan, they are much more subtle with their facial expressions. And so using your entire mouth to smile big, that would be too emotional. And so being aware of that and then being in a mixed, diverse cultural situation, I might, bring down my facial expression a little bit to make everyone a little bit more comfortable. And that might be an exhibit or a changed behavior because of my cultural intelligence. So if we have cultural intelligence rather, and pay attention to that, we have higher quality interactions with other people as well. And a vast majority of companies are looking for people who can work with those who are not like themselves. So they want to hire people who have these cultural intelligence skills. So luckily, like emotional intelligence, we can develop cultural intelligence. And so we can, like I mentioned on the prior slide, we can continue to observe other people, their emotions, their behaviors, their needs, and then manage those relationships. So continue to develop our interaction skills with other people. Not having knowledge and not understanding something can be anxiety provoking. So, trying to stay tolerant and open minded, even though things are not the way we are used to them being, meaning there is uncertainty there, that helps also with cultural intelligence. My example of maybe reducing my big smile is me showing adaptability to other cultures. Of course, you are not going to have to change who you are as a person, and others are not expected to change who they are as people either. But if we all are willing to learn and then to adapt slightly in these mixed, diverse, or mixed culture situations, that should be a better experience for everyone. Showing empathy, right? Perspective taking, putting yourself in other people's shoes, uh, also helps with cultural intelligence. And so we are understanding or trying to understand where they are coming from and trying to understand their cultural perspective. And that gives us a better relationship with them because we are not coming to conclusions based on our own cultural expectations and norms. We're trying to see what they are saying and what they are doing based on who they are and where they come from. And of course, right, like the big smile, the word choices we have, the body language, right, as well as the facial expression, things that we do, right? So our entire communication, from our word choices, our faces, our bodies, how we express that communication, the actions we take, all of that influences how people perceive us and what they hear from us. And so being mindful of how we show up and how we communicate is a big part of cultural intelligence. And then things like, are you late or are you punctual? Or do you focus on the task or the relationship here with this new group that you are spending time with and working with? What manners do you bring to the table and how do you negotiate? Are you accommodating? Are you assertive? Etc. All of these pieces are things that becomes a part of cultural intelligence. And of course, it is impossible for us to have knowledge around all of this. Nobody's expecting us to. It's more about the willingness to learn and being open minded. And so the cultural intelligence model helps us with this a little bit, if you will. So this one gives us 4 different phases, and it starts with CQ, or cultural intelligence, CQ drive. And that essentially just says that we need to start with the motivation to want to learn about other cultures. Do you have to drive to learn and do different? If the answer is yes, then we can now go out and we can acquire knowledge, meaning we can develop knowledge, learn more about different cultures, their norms, their values, things that help us be better humans, better employees, better managers. Then in number 3, here we have strategy. How are you thinking about applying that knowledge? So are you pausing before you're writing an email? Are you listening? Are you paying attention to people's faces? How do you respond to that? How do you initiate something, right? So how are you going to apply your knowledge? And then once that has, you've thought about it and planned it maybe a little bit, then you take action, right? So how are you now implementing all that you have learned in these new situations? So how does this show up in actions and in behaviors? And of course, the strategy and the action are very linked together. And in real life, you might not sit down and plan it out and then go do it. So strategy and action might actually be collapsed into one phase. And so it's helpful for us to theoretically divide them here to just think about them. And so this is then, shows us a model that we want to do different. That's supposed to be a 1, but again, my trackpad here is just not very good when I'm in recording mode, actually. We go out, we learn, we talk to people, we're open, we search out information to do better and be better. And then we think about how we're gonna actually apply that and how we might actually do different. And once that has happened, we put it into action. And this is also sort of a learning loop, because once we put things into action, we start getting feedback on it. We hear people, respond to us either through their facial expressions, which is much quicker than their words, right? So you say something and you might see the reaction in their face before they actually say something. And that is also feedback. And so we get feedback, and so we might come back to either learn more or we come back and we think about doing it differently. So we have this learning loop of trying, getting feedback, and then doing different, which is super cool, right? 2 exercises. Number 1, using the strategies outlined that we just talked about. Talk about at least 5 specific strategies that you might implement to improve your cultural intelligence. And then number 2, there is a cultural intelligence quiz. I will go ahead and pop that URL into the comment sections. And hey, while you're down there, clicking on the URL to take this quiz to see where you stand on cultural intelligence, why don't you also go ahead and subscribe to me? Thank you so much. With that, in summary, cultural intelligence CQ is defined as the ability to relate to and work effectively with people from different cultural backgrounds. Like diversity, CQ is important to a successful and productive workplace. The model we just discussed shows us how we can develop higher levels of CQ with 4 different stages, and they are drive, knowledge, strategy, and actions. So, with that, thank you so much. I'll see you at the next one. Be safe. Bye.